G'day comrade subscribers. So let's continue. Where were we? We've finally got video output working. So first of all, there was a signal being sent, but there was no chroma. There was none of this information there. So the screen knew something was there, but it didn't display anything, not even a black screen. So first of all, I thought it was the character ROM wasn't outputting anything. Then I realized, okay, the CRT controller wasn't enabling the character ROM, but swapping that didn't make any difference. And then I noticed that the chip select for the CRT controller, which was coming from this 3 of 8 decoder here, wasn't basically selecting the CRT controller. So, and it looked like there wasn't any A12, A13 or A14 addresses, which is the three signals. So I swapped out the 8080 and then we got a signal. And I think we just got cursor at the start. So I tried reseating the firmware ROM and put it back in. And then, yes, we got ΑΛΦΑ-BK, but it was corrupted. And it kept being corrupted. So it's a text-only screen. So it was like this was, the character ROM here was also kind of intermittently outputting the wrong characters. So there might still be an issue here, but I'm thinking because the... let me just stand up. Because the firmware ROM, the monitor, is maybe I don't think it's the best socket. So the next plan was to basically, remove the socket, which is going to be arduous because you've got to apply too much heat. So I don't know, just some of them don't look right. Of course, we've got the issue where I've got 2.54mm pitch, where the Soviets used 2.5mm pitch. So probably on an EPROM it's okay, but you can see after when we get to 20 pins, it's kind of bent to fit it in. So yeah, two options. We can just put the pins in by itself, or I can put the socket in. So I might actually, well, I know I said in the comments last video that I'd do the pins, but I think I might just do the socket for this one. I might do the pins for the character ROM perhaps. So that's the plan. So let's actually put it back in. Put it back in and I will just check what the status is now. So I'm still using my mineral power supply there. So that's the power input. Plus 12 volts, plus minus 5 volts in ground. And then this is the video output signal coming out of here. It actually comes out of here and then goes to this SMP 85, is it 85? Yeah, 58 connector. Actually, that's what I wanted to show. Let me grab something. Right, so it's not exactly the same because this is a 3x32, so it's 96 pin in total. And it's actually an SMP 59-96, whereas, let me just pull this out. This is an SMP 58-64, so it's 2x32, and this one is a 3x32, but it's the same thing anyway, similar thing, 2.5mm pitch. So it's pretty much identical to a DIN connector, a DIN 41462 or 14, I can't, it'll be in the down below. So it's pretty much identical. It is pretty much identical, except it's 2.54mm pitch, 2.5mm pitch. And as you can see, over 32 pins, if we line up the pins, you can see that it's a big difference. So you can get away with it, probably 20 pins is the maximum you can get away with, but over 32 pins you can't do it. So obviously this isn't going to fit because it's a 2-row, but you can see it would fit if it was a 2-row, not a 3-row. But you do the same here, it's just not going to fit. Unfortunately, it's probably not it's just a little bit too wide. Just a little bit too wide. Yeah, that probably doesn't look, but yeah, trust me, it doesn't fit. Anyway, so that's the difference. That's the problem. So it would be good to actually get some some of, well, not these, I can buy those. To get these, I'll probably have to get them from Ukraine. Ask my Ukrainian colleagues if they can get me some SMP5884 sockets, I guess. Anyway, that's by the by. Let's just see what the situation is now with the video output. Okay, turn on the screen. So I would capture it, but say the my USB, my Elgato doesn't like the signal, so I have to just film the screen, I'm afraid. Power on. All right, okay, we're getting that intermittent thing. Let me show you. So this is what we get at the moment. So before we replaced the 8080, we weren't getting anything. We weren't even getting this. But now we're getting intermittent screen of garbage. Well, there's characters. So that's why I think maybe it's the firmware ROM, because I've tried reseating it and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So yeah, I hate desoldering this stuff, but anyway, let's give it a go. So the 24 pin EPROM. So it means I can put in a 2732 if I at a pinch. But you can see here, well, there we go. Try and get the light out of the way. But so it's 12 pins obviously on the side, and that fits in much easier. I didn't really have to force that in; it just slips straight in. So that's not a problem. It's just these large 20 pin ones. So I'm thinking, if no one's made an adapter, I thought maybe I should try and make an adapter. So 2.5mm spacing, and then 2.54mm spacing on top. Maybe like a little daughter board. Anyway, so I'll put that in and put the original ROM back in, 2716 2K, 2 kilobytes, and see if that makes any difference. Otherwise, I could try. Like I said, I've got an older EPROM programmer that runs on DOS and uses parallel port. So it might be able to do a 2716, otherwise maybe a 2732. So we'll see how we go. So I'll just solder this in and we'll give it another try. Okay, new sockets in pretty easily, but fortunately no improvement. So we're getting well, I'll power socket it a couple of times. This is a different pattern. But yeah, so power cycle it again, power off, a few seconds, power on, and nothing that time. So more investigation. I could try replacing the ROM. I just moved the power a little bit. That's interesting. Okay, so power off, power on. Okay, we're not even getting the signal that time, so that was the original issue. Okay, power off. Okay, hopefully everything's discharged. Power on. Yeah, all right. So it was working, but now it's failed again. So I'll continue troubleshooting. I just pulled the 8080 out. Bugger. Maybe that was the problem. Amateur. So what's that? Pins 1 and 2. So I think pin 1. No, sorry, that's not right. It's 39 and 40. So I think one of them an address pin. Anyway, that could be the problem. I'll straighten those up and try again. Right, welcome back to Amateur Hour with your host, Brett, the clueless engineer. So, power this on. I've reseated the chip. That's a bit of a problem because it arches the the socket arches because it doesn't fit properly. So you kind of have to, yeah, the chip. Anyway, that's why I said maybe I should design a daughter board so to convert these. So that's right. I wanted to power on the yo screen, and does it work now? No, it doesn't. Oh, far out. Oh, it's not even getting the signal now. Now we are. Can't win. Can't win. So now we're getting an intermittent signal. Just straighten that up a bit. Power off. Everything discharge. Power on. Hey, okay. All right, so now we've got the issue with the characters are incorrect. So it says alpha. Oh, no, it doesn't say alpha. It says ADPFA percentage B, and is that what it's yeah, but that's not alpha-BK. And it should be a space, then a dash and an arrow. So incorrect characters. So could that be we're addressing? So is that the character ROM? So is that the let's have a look. So is that the character ROM is sending the wrong data, or is it still maybe firmware? But what we saw before is that it would actually correct itself. So I think the character ROM is maybe outputting the wrong data. Or is the wrong data being requested? I think maybe the character ROM's outputting the wrong data. Shall I risk powering it off again? And power it back on. Just does it take time to boot? See, now we get nothing. So this is where it's like, okay, is there some charge? Oh, okay. Right, I've not seen that before. That is a new one. Power off. So there is a rather beefy capacitor on here associated with maybe the crystal. So I just want to make sure, I want to make sure there is no power on there. Power back on. Okay, so now we get the prompt, but again, the characters are wrong. So maybe I have to, character ROM's soldered in. Yay. Oh. The 8080 is getting pretty warm actually. I wonder if there's still some sort of intermittent. All right. Okay, so I can fit a 2732. I do have 2732s. All right, I'm going to have to get out the AR-32 and see if I can burn a 2716 or a 2732 to replace these. See, now it's not booting at all. Oh, now it is. Power off. Power on quickly. Power off. Let the capacitors discharge. Power on. Alright, we get nothing now. That's like if the if the ROM wasn't installed. That's the effect we get when the ROM's not installed. Should I just replace everything? Should I just put the homebrew Radio 86 board in? All right, that's like the ROM's not there at all. So again, so it's not sure if maybe there's an issue with the firmware ROM as well. All right, one more time, and then I'll see if I can get the AR-32 working with the book 8080, 8088. All right. Scratch my head time. It was working, kind of. All right, maybe two new ROMs. So some of the, let me just power this off. So some of these chips are also sitting pretty high off the board. So, but they are soldered in, but they're just very high. As you can see there, they're very high off the board. So, yeah. All right. I'm really putting a lot of effort into this thing. I don't know why, because to be honest, I'm not the case is just too heavy, and I don't know how this keyboard's going to go. But anyway, I'll persevere. We're getting somewhere with it. Okay, so I've dumped the ΑΛΦΑ-BK ROM that I have on the right hand side, and this is the standard Radio 86RK ROM, and there's a couple of changes, minor changes. So replace one byte, so we've got a C7 on the ΑΛΦΑ-BK, where it's an F7 on the Radio 86, and we delete one byte, which is we delete, oh, hang on, so we want to, maybe do we want to view, what was it, file? So we want to make the ΑΛΦA-BK ROM the same as, well, anyway, we'll go through it. So delete one byte there, insert one byte there. So what that is saying is that, because we've got 000021 on the ΑΛΦA-BK, and here we've got 320021, and on the Radio 86 we've got 32021. So we've got an additional null character in there on the ΑΛΦA-BK. Alright, what's the next one? Okay, replace, so we've got 01 on the alpha and 31 on the RK. Okay, where's the next one? Delete. Okay, so delete one byte there. So what have we got? 0103 something. 01. We've got 0350. Here we've got, okay, 015003. Here we've got 010350. So it's kind of around the other way, isn't it? And then replace one byte. Where was that one? Down here. Okay, so this down here I think is the string. So on this side it says radio-86RK or something, and then on the alpha it says star alpha-BK star. So I guess they added the asterisks in to make up the space. So that's what that is there. And then we get down to the end. So we have an additional 2 bytes here. And okay, so we've got an additional 2 bytes at the end, whereas we've got FF. Interesting. Oh, so an extra 2 bytes in the alpha. So, yep, so I don't know, maybe these are the errors, perhaps. Maybe these are errors. I don't know if they've made any customization apart from doing the ΑΛΦA-BK So maybe these are errors. Maybe this is what's causing the problem. So I'll see if I can burn the Radio 86 ROM and see if that helps. Okay, 2716 has been programmed with the original Radio 86 RK. So I've just used my trusty book 8080 and my AR Labs AR-32 EPROM programmer. Runs on DOS with good old parallel port. So it'll do 2716s. So I've had this for quite a while actually, quite a few years before I got my Windows Chinesium programmer that crashes my machine and won't program 2716s because it can't do the voltage. Sorry, I'm just putting everything back. So yeah, the AR-32 hasn't let me down yet. So let's see if the new firmware makes any difference. So I'm not sure what the differences. Well, you know, are those differences due to errors, or right? That's plugged in. Plug this in. Are they genuine differences? Because as far as I know, it's identical to the Radio 86, except that it just says alpha. All right, let me get set up and we'll see what comes up on the screen. Okay, power on. Well, do I have to wait? I don't know. Does it take time to initialize? I don't know. Because one thing I haven't looked at is the RAM. Maybe it's a RAM issue. Okay, we're not getting anything now. All right, let's try powering on and off, seeing what happens. Power off. We'll just pull the power out. Power on. Oh. Okay, that's different. One more power off. I'm pretty sure everything's plugged in. I'll double check the 8080. Okay, one more power on. And nothing at all. I guess one other thing I could do is to try programming that ΑΛΦΑ-BK firmware into a 2716. Nothing at all coming up. One more power off. Quick power on. No, it didn't like that. Power off. One more power on. Okay. No, nothing at all. Well, that's frustrating. Alright, I'll try putting the original ROM back in. Okay, original ROM's back in. Powering on. Oh. Interesting. So maybe, alright, maybe there are differences. Maybe the ROM is okay. So, but as you can see, again, the characters are wrong. Closer look. That does not say ΑΛΦΑ-BK. ADPFA percentage B, and then is that sir? I think, I'm not sure, but yeah. So that's maybe working. We've got a flashing cursor, but the font's wrong, and it's just a terrible image. I don't know what I'm going to be able to do about that image. Right, so I might just try powering off. Of course, it probably won't work now, will it? Power on. Of course not. Okay, so there's still some sort of intermittent, I don't know. DMA controller. I shall replace that one next. Alright, but definitely there's an issue with the text, with the characters, so maybe I have to replace that one as well. So I've been power cycling it a few times, either nothing comes up or we get that. So I'm thinking of maybe adding a reset. I might add a reset button perhaps. Might add to one of these header rows here, might add a reset button rather than power cycling it all the time. But yeah, so that seems to come up now okay, but again, the characters are wrong. So are we requesting the correct characters or are we outputting the wrong characters? Yeah, some more work to be done. Oh, okay, no. It's alright, it's having a bit of a wobble. Interesting. I don't know. I'm just thinking, rather just replace this with the Radio 86 board. All right, no, we're definitely having a lie down now, I think. So yeah, I might try and figure out a reset, put in a reset line or something, reset button. Okay, right. So I've programmed a new old stock 2716 with the ΑΛΦΑ-БΚ firmware that I downloaded off the original Soviet ROM. Oh, I was going to say, and it's working, but it's done that again. So power off, power back on. So I'm just wondering also if there's any sort of reset circuit. So maybe the reset isn't coming up clean. But I did it a couple of times and I was getting the ΑΛΦΑ-БΚ. See nothing now. Power off. Power on. Power off. So I did it several times in a row and I got, well, it was corrupted font still. Oh God. Maybe I need to look at the capacitors maybe. So, because one thing is, so if we look at okay, so we've got the RAM, decoupling capacitors here. Nothing really here. So we've got some decoupling here, so decoupling for that one perhaps, decoupling for that, decoupling for that, decoupling maybe for that. But otherwise, like the DMA controller and the CPU, they don't have, obviously they use 3 voltages, so you could have decoupling for 12 volts, 5 volts and minus 5 volts perhaps, but they don't have anything. So I don't know if that's causing the instability. Like maybe, I don't know if these machines were always kind of unreliable and you just had to power cycle them a few times. But I've had it off for a while now, well, for a little while. Power on. So okay, so that's what I got initially. So powering on the board after, not being powered for a while, get nothing. So that's why I'm wondering whether there's a reset circuit that's perhaps not working properly. And then if I power it off and then power it on, yeah, and now it works, apart from the font. So I'm trying to program a font ROM. I just tried one and the verification didn't work. So program, so let's see, program. This is, I don't know where I got this one from. Programming device, so it'll take a while. So Which way around does it go? It's an old one, so I don't know if it will. Anyway, so yeah, so ignoring the incorrect characters. Okay, power off and power on. See, it's still working. Okay, I don't know if the keyboard works, but this kind of is what we want to expect. Power off. And now, oh, okay, no, it powered on. So yeah, maybe the reset, maybe there's some sort of reset issue. Maybe the CPU's not resetting properly. Because every time, if I leave it powered off for a while, the initial power on, I get nothing. Power it off, power back on, then I get that АЛЬФА-БК boot screen with just the incorrect characters like that. See, that seems to be more reliable now. But then after a bit, it goes crazy. So I'm wondering, maybe this design isn't as reliable. Maybe there should be more decoupling capacitors, perhaps, just to kind of power these chips. But yeah, so character ROM is what I'm trying to do at the moment. Okay, programming is almost done. Oh, fuck. So that one, verification fails again. So I'm not having luck. I've got one more, I think. Let's have a look. What have I got here? So that's the original. That's the first one I tried to program. The font didn't work. Character ROM. That's the original, I think. Or is it? Where did I put? Oh no, character ROM's still in there. So that's the original. That's the original firmware. So I do have another 2716 I can use. Otherwise, I've got 2732s, I think. So, yep, I'll try one more. And then I'm going to have to start erasing them and trying again for the font ROM. But see, it seems more stable apart from the incorrect characters. So, yeah, it's, all right, new device installed. So, yep. So it continues. All right, looks like finally I've got a new font ROM programmed. So this has been running for a little while. It seems stable now. I was just going to run the thermal imager over it because the 8080 does feel quite warm. But looks like, I don't know if I'll get around to it tonight, but looks like I'll be desoldering the character ROM next and socketing a new version to see if that'll fix this corrupted output. Right, I just want to quickly check the what sort of heat's coming off it. So yeah, we've got about 66 degrees. The 8080 is at about 66 degrees. And we've got the DMA controller next to it. So yeah, certainly the 8080 is getting pretty hot. What's that one next to it? That's a Soviet chip. I'm not sure what that one is, so I have to check. EPROM is pretty cold, pretty ambient. 8275 CRT controller. That's the character ROM there. And then that was another Soviet chip. And then that's 8255. Both of those 8255s. They're not doing anything at the moment because there's no keyboard. So one would be for keyboard, I guess, and the other one would be for general expansion. But yeah, obviously there's nothing happening there's no keyboard connected. But certainly the 8080 is the hottest one there. Nothing. Oh Jesus, what's that one? 52 degrees. That's pretty warm. So we've got the RAM along the bottom here, which is pretty cool. But yeah, this one here, yeah, it's warm to the touch. So I'm always suspicious of chips that are running too hot, so I might check that one out. Oh, is that? Oh, that's the. I think that's the 8224, the clock pulse generator. Yeah, I think that's the 8224 equivalent. So I could always put an actual 8224 in there. That's the crystal next to it. But I guess what you're seeing there is a reflection of the heat because it's a metal canister. So that's just reflecting the heat off the 8224. But yes, just some general logic. Everything along the bottom looks pretty cool. Which one's that one? I think that was the... No, it was that one there. No, don't worry about that. So yeah, general view. Yeah, so you can see down the bottom right corner, that's the 8224 glowing hot. The 8080 is glowing. The 8080 is the hottest, 64 degrees, so I might stick a heatsink on that. 8275 CRT controller. I can't remember, that's a Soviet chip, but it's equivalent, I don't know, 74198 maybe? I'll put the description there. There we go. Okay, stop recording.